Okay, you should be able to click live on the Instagram.
Okay. It's not allowing me to do that yet. Oh, I think it's allowing me to do it now.
Mm-hmm. And remember, you have your questions on the
Alrighty.
computer, but you're looking here.
Welcome, guys. This is the Dirt on Gardening podcast. You might notice that we got a little bit different format. What's going on, Gray and Derek? What's going on with you guys?
Man, I just want to say this looks amazing. It's awesome. We're all on at the same time. Now we don't have to say who's late. We're all here at the same
Mm.
time.
Well, it only took us 30 episodes. So it only took
Oh,
us 30 episodes.
yeah,
I
only
think that's
30. We're
pretty
good.
good. That's a pretty good learning
Yeah.
curve.
And the technology didn't really exist until like a month ago in this way for us to do it.
Right.
So it just, it wasn't easy, but now it's easy.
Easy and
Like
cheesy. All
Sunday
right.
morning.
Well, I like this. I like this format. I think it looks really good. Hopefully, the viewers can see this. You guys can comment if this format is looking good to you guys or it's working for you guys. Let us know in the comments. Yeah, this is our first time trying it, so there might be some kinks along the way. But this is episode 30. I can't believe we've had 30 episodes already.
We've come so far.
That's
And we
crazy,
still have
crazy.
far enough to go. In the 5 more episodes, this podcast will be old enough to run for president. Look at that.
Ooh, Dirt on
I'm
Gardening
gonna I'm gonna
podcast.
leave that
Press
I'm
president.
gonna leave that alone. But so what went on with your weekends, guys? Tell the people about what's going on in your lives.
Well, I'll start things off. Man, I have been running around like the proverbial chicken with my head cut off, because I had the pleasure of jumping onto yet another podcast. Don't worry, guys, I'm not cheating on you. Uh, but the beat through Epic Gardening, Jacques in the Garden. He invited me to come and chat with him on his podcast. So we just got to catch up because I got to work with him when I was out in Maine, and we just caught up and talked gardening, talked vibes. It was a really cool interview, and that's going to be airing in January. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. What about you guys?
Well, where can people see that? Where can people watch it?
Well, that's going to be on YouTube, and it's also going to be on Spotify, anywhere where you can get your major podcast from. Which we need to do soon. We need to get us on some Spotify and stuff too.
I think we
But
need 30 more episodes.
30 more. There
In
we go.
about
That's
30
the
more
goal.
episodes, we're gonna be there.
Hey, I'm a goal-oriented guy. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Derek, what's going on with you, brother?
This weekend, what did I get into? Let's see. What did I do? I actually on Saturday I went to a friend's house and I went to her abode and helped her with her plants. She had some plants that she's growing in water in some leca. Actually, it's amazing that this is happening like this. This actually happened. And I basically helped her to repot some plants that she wasn't growing in water, wipe off some leaves. We just made it look nice and beautiful. She was like asking questions about her stuff. It really could have been a FaceTime. I drove like an hour just to look at these plants, and she could have repotted them herself. I think she just wanted me to come just to see me and be like, let me spend time with you, which I appreciate. And it was a beautiful time. And then I helped one of my sisters and repotted some plants on her patio. And I recorded a video that my phone decided to just end in the middle of it. So y'all will never see it. That's how my weekend was. Andre, what you do?
Well, my truck broke down. I posted some videos about that, so a lot of people know about it. So I had to get a new truck because it had broken down for the final time. Like I was just tired of
Mm.
just constantly spending money on this truck and crossing my fingers every time I took a long drive, hoping that it would make it there.
Oh,
It
wow.
was 10 years. It wasn't that old. It was 2016, but had about 160,000 miles on it, and it just, you know what? One thing I think I've learned is don't lift your truck because I
Oh,
feel like it puts stress. And you're a mechanic, you know better than me. But I've had that a few people that I know that said I had a nice truck and I ruined it because I lifted it and it just puts stress. I think in places where it's not designed to have stress.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It puts stress on all of your suspension parts. So I mean, yeah, the slightest. I mean, and the lift kit that I have on my truck is only 5 inches, but that 5 inches makes all the difference. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, yeah. Mine was a 6-inch lift, and And I just felt like I always had trouble with the truck. So, anyways, so I took the Bright Line, which is a train from Orlando to Miami. I took that down to a dealership down there, and the guy that I've been talking to on the phone, he was the one who was going to meet me. We've been texting back and forth, right? So I texted him when I get there. I said, what are you driving? He goes, I'm driving your truck. And I go, okay, whatever. So he pulls up in the truck and he gets out. It's a young brother. He gets out and he goes, get out of here. Get out. Get out. I go, what? What? He goes, get in the truck. I get in the truck. He starts showing me pictures of like mangoes and banana plants and stuff like that. He's like, man, I knew I was going to meet you someday, but I didn't know it was going to be like this. And it was just funny. And he's a really cool guy, really cool guy. There's Sebastian down there at Coconut Creek Mazda, really cool guy. And we talked about plants the whole way. We were almost going to take a detour to his house to go like look at his trees on the way to the dealership.
He was trying to kidnap you.
Pretty much.
That's what it sounds like. You want this car, boy? You better get on this here yard and help me with all my plants. I want a cutting of all your plants.
Anyways, I ended up getting a Tundra. I got my 2022 Toyota Tundra. Everyone got on me for saying Toyota the whole time, but I gotta check. Are there any Canadian people on here? Because I feel like in Canada we say Toyota. Like I feel like that's a thing, but everyone was killing me in the comments about Toyota, saying it's Toy Yoda, Toy Yoda. So Toyota, I got a Toyota Tundra. So I'm happy. I had a good weekend. They came home, did a bunch of gardening. I did some harvesting this weekend, actually. And I harvested yams, sweet potatoes, ginger, a little bit of turmeric, and some cassava. My cassava grew super huge this year. I pulled up 3 cassava plants and I just stopped because there was way more cassava than I could use. And I got about maybe another 10, 12 more cassava plants in the ground that I'm just going to sort of save them there until I figure out what to do with all this cassava. So,
Wow, that's a good problem to have.
very good problem to have. I am not complaining. And I know tonight we talking about hydroponics, and I have a little bit of experience in hydroponics. How about you guys?
Yeah, I do some hydroponics. I've been doing it for quite a while. And there are pros and cons to it. So that's what I kind of wanted to discuss with you guys. So Andre, with you having a little bit of experience, Derek, what about you? How well versed are you in hydroponics?
So I've done some work taking care of hydroponics projects for people when I worked at the Phytotron at NC State. When I worked in Medicago, I took care of the plants that we were doing in a nutrient film technique, which is like a running water hydroponic thing. You should never do hydroponics in a greenhouse that's like easily touching 100 degrees. It's never a good idea because fertilizer water smells terrible when it gets just rancid. And the
Yeah.
smell never leaves your body when it splashes on you. But yeah, I've done some hydroponics.
And
Well,
see,
before
that's
we do that,
perfect.
we got
Yeah,
a
go
quick
ahead.
question. We have a quick
What's up?
question. Jen asked the B asterisk NG water, and that
You
was on
you gotta
soup.
go, you gotta go to the top. So she has 3 parts of this question.
Oh,
And here's the premise, because this is the 5th or 6th person who's asked me about this video. Okay, so we're going to be very particular with how we answer this question so we don't get dinged. Okay, there are some people who enjoy gardening, much like Cheech and Chong did back in the day, and a beautiful glassware that they used to enjoy their gardening was used by a gardener who said that they would use the water from this glassware on on one of their basil plants. They just watered one with like regular water, whatever, and one with this water. Okay, we on the same page here. We don't have to
I
type this
don't
really happy
understand this
Andre's
emoji.
kind of
lost.
stuff. I don't
You
know
don't
this stuff at all.
you've never seen Cheech and Chong?
I've seen Cheech and Chong like 40 years ago.
Okay, the thing they used, the glassware they used, Andre,
Right.
they
There's
had
water in it?
there's water in it.
Yeah.
I know people who enjoy gardening because my great uncle, he loved gardening. And when I was young and he would garden around me, he would say, don't you garden, but it makes me feel good, but you shouldn't do this. It's bad, right? So I would see the beautiful bubbles coming out as he was enjoying himself. Okay, we all on the same page. So
Right,
there's
right,
water
right.
in that tube And as you inhale, after a hard day of gardening, you are having that smoke and come through the water. Now, I had to look up how this all works because I know the premise, but I've not really thought about it because I don't indulge in that way. So when you
That
are
type of
gardening
garden.
in that way, that type of gardening I don't do, especially in that way, because you shouldn't smoke anything. But when it comes to that, there was a person who said they had two basil plants. Okay, two. There was one that just gave water, regular stuff, and then the other they gave the residue water from their glassware. The one they gave the residue water from their glassware was bigger. People wanted to know if there was any legitimacy to that. And after talking to some people who know more than me about the topic, okay, of gardening in that way, wink, wink, I ended up determining there's probably some organic matter that's in that water that's helping in your soil chemistry, but she only did it with two plants. So that's not really enough to say there's a
Right.
difference
The
either
sample
way.
size is a little bit
It's way
small.
too small. You need
Yeah.
like thousands of plants over
But
a
you
couple of
think it's
years.
something that can enrich soil? Because I know something that enriches soil without having to go through all that risk, right?
You do. What you be knowing?
I don't know. There's this thing that I've used a couple times, and starts with a T.
Sorry,
Um,
I did some cleaning in here, so I had to find it. We're talking about Thrive Roots. Thrive Roots. If you are looking for a way to organically stimulate your plants, boost your roots, and amend your soil, Thrive Roots is the way to go. Thrive Roots, this is the berry Thrive Roots that I use for my strawberries. I use with my blueberries and so forth. It's 100% Armory listed organic. Um, when the spring changes, that just threw off my whole speech.
Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, so but this is a natural way of being able to stimulate your roots so that they can truly thrive. And that's on thriveroots.com. Make sure to check them out, and you're gonna love the way it smells.
all right, cool, cool, cool. So let's get back into our hydroponics. That's the topic that we wanted to talk about today. So I have a video posted on how to make a little hydroponic kit out of those. You know those tubs that you get for storage at Home Depot with the yellow top and they're black.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Those make great little hydroponics units. I've grown a lot of lettuce and bok choy and Chinese lettuce in it. Right now, you'll never guess what I'm growing in them right now.
Please indulge us.
Wasabi.
Ooh,
I'll
I
be
still
oh,
didn't guess, and you said this last week.
Yeah.
what's the,
Oh, did I tell you that last week?
I forgot again. I can't wait to see this wasabi. I really can't.
The wasabi's growing like crazy right now in there. And I don't even like wasabi to begin with, but I think it tastes like Vicks Vapor Rub to me. But
wait,
um,
wait, wait. Are you eating Vicks Vapor Rub, Andre? Is this something you need to
no, but
tell
I've
us?
been very, very close. I've had Vicks Vapor Rub very close to my mouth, and taste is like 90% smell. So yeah, I have a good idea what Vicks would taste like, and it would probably taste like wasabi. I'm pretty sure. Like wasabi tastes like it should be medicine. Like it doesn't taste like it should be a food item. But I don't know. Anyways, I still want to grow it just as a novelty. So I took some out, but it's a root crop. So I figure I'm not sure if it can get through the leca. Leca's the little balls, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But there's a tray underneath it. So I'm not sure if the roots can really develop in that tray to be big enough to harvest actual wasabi. So I took some from the hydroponics and put them in pots, or at
Mhm,
least one from the hydroponics put in a pot just to see if it would how it would do in a pot.
mhm. Well, in that scenario, so okay, so let's break that down for a moment, okay? The type of hydroponics that you're doing is called deep water. Isn't that what it's called? There, deep water
I
hydroponics.
think so.
And this is the standard way, even when we're talking about like crafty methods and so forth, this is all enveloped in that same wheelhouse. So essentially, you have water down the bottom. You more than likely have some kind of aeration system, which is bringing oxygen into that water. And then you have your container up at the top where your roots can trickle down to. That's
Exactly.
considered a deep water system. That's
Mm.
how any of, like, even when we talk about some of the brand names, which I'm not going to mention because they're not a sponsor, um, they that's the same type of system that they have. So and now with that type of system, I'm not sure that something that has a developed taproot or a root crop is going to do well in that system because you don't. I don't honestly, I just don't know. You know, it's something I would have to test out because I've never
Right.
tried root crops in that deep water type of system.
Yeah, I've seen carrots grow in like I guess like where the water is sort of just running over it, not like in a
Yes.
deep water system. But I don't know if it would grow in there either. That's why I took them up. But I was just trying to find things other than lettuce and cabbage and things that take up a lot of space. Because here's what I find: I grow lettuce in there, and it grows more than I can eat,
Yeah.
and I end up with a big mess when it bolts, and I gotta clean up jobs. I'm like, I said, let me try something weird and exotic, and let me just try different stuff. So I put just random seeds right in the leca. I didn't use the
Rock wool.
rock wool or anything. I
Yeah.
Hmm.
said I put a bunch of random seeds. I put a watermelon seed, which is random stuff. And the thing that came up the fastest is the wasabi. So
Mm.
And so, yeah, and with that being said, for everyone listening, that next system he was talking about, and Derek was actually talking about it as well. That's called the nutrient film technique. So essentially, you're having running water going over the crop, so it's constantly moving and it's creating a film of nutrients that's always going, it's always recycling. Um, yeah, that would be interesting. That'd be interesting. I mean, maybe doing root crops like that. So if you did carrots like that or your wasabi like that with that nutrient film technology, I could see that working. But interestingly enough, you know, over at Andre and I's community, Better Gardener, I was having a class and we were talking about hydroponics, and I actually forgot that I did a nutrient film hydroponics years ago. I had forgot about it and I grew broccoli in it, and my broccoli
Mm.
was fantastic. But what I use for my nutrient solution, this goes back to what Derek was talking about being in a greenhouse and that fertilizer smell. So in my system, I completely built the contraption myself. I used fish fertilizer as my nutrient source. And when I tell you now, Andre, you know, Derek always teases us about having a bunch of property. I actually only have an acre, but my entire acre smelled like fish guts. I mean, because think about it, the water's flowing and the air is moving, and so it's moving those particles all throughout. And I mean, everywhere you step, and then just like Derek said, not only when it splashes on you, but when it gets in your nose hairs, all I could smell was fish guts for the rest of the day. But I tell you, some of the biggest, thickest heads of broccoli I've ever had came from that system. But since it was
Mm.
so cumbersome and it created such a smell, like, I need to find something else that's tolerable. I don't want to get divorced. I love being married. So,
I find that the systems are just generally like hydroponics is just generally more efficient than ground. Like, if you can get your pH right and get your dissolved solids and your nutrients and everything right, I just find that it's just things grow so much faster and bigger. I find with hydroponics.
yeah, yeah, I concur. Thoughts,
Yeah.
Derek? What do you think, man?
So, because I missed the background, so I'm a little in and out. I think most deaf hydroponics, I love it. And I do it in a semi-hydroponic way when I'm like propagating plants. A lot of us actually do semi-hydroponics when we are propagating plants in water, right? So you have your water, you just sit it there, that water's not moving. We all know somebody who has glasses. I had a friend, God rest her soul. She had this beautiful, I think it was like Dieffenbachia that was just growing in water, and it just had these roots for just days, right? Look at that beautiful root structures. But the thing about those root structures, the thing about those plants is they can be very unforgiving. I'm going to big you up real quick. When you are looking at how these roots are formed, right? And you're looking at these roots he's showing, you're literally seeing them in their bare form. They're unprotected. So if you don't fertilize just right, if you get something in your water, you're spraying your Febreze or your Lysols or anything, and it gets on those roots, it can be murder she wrote. So I'm all for it, but I'm typically like, if you're going to do it, especially super hydroponic grows, and I know there's so many kits you can get, just be careful and make sure you are providing your plants with enough. You can't be as experimental and risky as I am with soil.
Very true. And I'm glad you mentioned that because another thing, when we're suspending plants in water or we're growing hydroponically, those roots don't have any resistance, right? So
Mm.
what strengthens up our roots is truly, physics. It's pushing through some type of grow medium, right? So if we're talking about our soil or clay or so forth, when we're talking about our leca balls, so they have something to build up their tolerance. But when you're just growing in water, these roots are going to naturally be weaker than roots that would be grown in soil. So just keep that in mind.
Right. And great, like this is like proof of the depth of your knowledge here, because you literally built hydroponic systems that you forgot you built. And that's, when people say like he's forgot more gardening than I know, like that's a prime example of Gray forgetting more gardening than I know.
More gardening than I know.
But with that being said, I failed a lot of times too, Andre. I failed a lot of times, dude. Because one thing, and this goes back to what Derek was just recently talking about. Um, I tried because strawberries, I love my strawberries. And so I was gonna try to do a essentially that same type of system, but just using a 5 gallon bucket and some strawberries. And I had this wonderful, beautiful tiered system that I had my strawberries suspended in, and they were sitting in some gravel. And I'm in Texas, and the system was outside, so it's sitting on a 5 gallon bucket of water. It's 100 degrees in Texas. I have gravel on the top. Essentially, I was boiling that
You're
water
cooking.
outside. It cooked all of the strawberry plants. So I mean, that one was like, okay, yeah, that didn't work.
Yeah,
Maybe inside,
I tried the strawberry plants in the hydroponics, and they grew really well. The only problem that I had was just the runners. Like, it's just in a contained space, they just want to run all over the place. And I took them out and
Mm.
gave them to an elementary school to plant in a community garden. We have a question here. I have a hydroponic garden inside as well as outside patio garden. I'm glad I discovered it because I'm enjoying the journey. Awesome, awesome. I think it's a lot of fun. It's intimidating to start for a lot of people, but I think once you do start, you can enjoy it.
yeah, yeah. And with that being said, I just want to mention, so anybody who's interested in jumping into hydroponics, right? There's a plethora, and I'm pretty sure Andre, myself, Derek, we can all show you DIY ways that you can make your own hydroponic system for much of nothing. But let's say you're limited on time, but you have disposable income. If you're thinking about getting one of those hydroponic systems, I'm going to tell you this, okay? I've done videos for multiple hydroponic systems, and they're all pretty much the same. They all are
Mm.
doing the same deep water type of system. And,
Hmm.
I'm not trying to throw any partnerships under the bus. So if you guys are working on something, I'm sorry. But I mean, there can be some that can get up to two, three, $400 for these systems. If this is something you're experimenting around with, get one of the less expensive systems because they all work essentially the same. Play
I
around with
agree.
it. Spend you about $50, play around with the system, see if you like it first before you start investing a huge chunk of change. You know what I
I
mean?
agree. But it is a great way to start because it's all sort of self-contained and you don't have to do a ton, but you still have work to do. And the thing I hate the most, the one thing I hate about hydroponics is the after harvest.
Mm.
Because then you got to clean out all these roots that have formed inside your deep water. Is loaded with roots and somehow dirt, like at the bottom, which I don't know how dirt got into the bottom of these things, but yeah, it's a lot of work cleaning and resetting for the next set of crops. That's the one thing I kind of could miss. Like I'd rather just throw the whole system away each time and just start over.
Like, well, I'll just start over. But you're absolutely right, because then I'm cleaned up. It's funny, you don't realize how advantageous roots really
Uh-huh.
are. There's so many different plant tropes going on. And I remember I grew some freckles lettuce, one of my favorite lettuce by far. And the roots, I mean, it was just a huge mass of roots in the bottom of this little cell. I mean, it was inside the pump, it was inside the filter, and I'm just having to go through and pick all this stuff out because I'm not like Andre. I ain't gonna throw it away. I'm like, no, we gonna reuse you again.
So what about like nutrients, guys? Like, and that's the thing. A lot of times people worry about that because you still your plants still need nutrients, right? And and I will talk about it later, but I know a lot of people question the nutritional value of a plant that's grown with hydroponics versus grown in the ground. But we'll get to that in a minute. But just like in terms of what do you guys typically feed? I know you tried the fish emulsion once, not a great idea indoors, but like what do you guys do use to feed your hydroponics usually? Derek.
We used regular just fertilizer. Like we had a granular that was like water soluble. It was Plantex at Medicago. I can't remember the stuff that was used. I feel like it was probably Plantex at the lab because a lot of people use that, and it's one of those like economically used for scientists situations where you can get them in different NPK recipes, and they would just be like carefully monitoring the electrical conductivity or the EC of that situation. And we would do that with a pH meter, or which was one thing, a pH meter to measure the pH of the water to make sure it was at the right balance to give the plants the nutrients they needed, and electrical conductivity, which is how much salt is in the water. And all your fertilizers are salts. So when you watch that balance, and again, you have to kind of watch it and play it fine, depending on the plant and the maturity of the plant. We were able to get it just, right where we needed to. Again, it was just temperature. You shouldn't have anything in a 120-degree greenhouse because, hot water isn't good for plants. But outside of that, it was great.
See, and
Okay.
that's the benefits of having a botanist with us. Because, as you were asking this question, I was like, man, I don't know. Because I uh I tried out, like the fish emulsion and everything. I had been using some of these store-bought products before, and I wanted to get into that wheelhouse of, trying to create my own solution. But when I was trying to create my own solution, I was just basically taking some compost tea or either some worm
Hmm.
compost tea and using it, but the concentration wasn't high enough. And see, that's why I like leaning on my brother Derek here because he knows how to make those things. So I'm when I try again, I'm gonna be like, hey Derek, so how we make that again?
Look, it is great. And again, this is a meter. They're not a sponsor of us, but I love these people. This is, there we go, Grow Line, which is by Hannah Instruments. So those of you who've worked in labs before, you've probably used their pH meters or EC meters. And they are phenomenal. They sent me this meter, and this thing is the truth. Because again, when you're measuring your electrical conductivity, your strength, you typically don't think about it, even for like gardening and typicalness, right? But every fertilizer that tells you this much to put for this area, this much to put per this much water, is literally telling you to dial into a set number based on your plants. So it's an amazing thing. And I feel like even with composting and the teas and the microbes, depending on again what you're growing and how populated your hydroponics is and how much it's bubbling and frothing, I feel like you could get some decent results.
Okay,
Okay. Well, let me
that's
answer a
good to
couple.
know.
Let's answer a couple questions here. Enterprise
Yes.
asks, is deep versus constant variable flow hydration better for certain plant families?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to say it's yeah. I'm going to definitely say right out the gates, yeah. It depends on what the plant needs. It's just like gardening in soil, right? So depending on the requirements of the plant, yeah, I think deep water versus that ebb and flow where it's constantly moving is going to make a big difference. Um, what are your thoughts, Derek? Because I think you might be able to really kind of touch on that a little bit better.
So it depends on your plants, it depends on your setup, and it depends on really how much money you're willing to put into hydroponics. A lot of deep water, still water, semi hydroponics, or anything that's giving you a variation of water movement comes with its own problems, right? You have to think about air filtration. You have to think about how often this water is moving, clearing out this water, how you're clearing out water, all of this different stuff. But I don't think there's much of a difference. I know there's some people who will say like this is better for lettuce versus anything else. I've seen some people with like vertical grows for lettuces and hydroponics, but they're also again doing those in a situation where they're growing for 24 hours, like lights on all day, all night, heat and everything else. So I think it's just see what works better for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. I don't think, I agree with you. I don't think there's much of a difference, but I can't think of any plants that grow better in the deep water system than they would in the other system. Like I feel like everything grows in the the variable flow system or whatever you call it. But I just feel like there's nothing that I would think specifically would want just the deep water system.
And when we're thinking about that, these different systems and what they all can do for us, I thought I had it around me, but I don't. But I know my two brothers here have their retain on them. I see it, haha. My retain, it reminds me that we ought to retain some great knowledge and retain some good work with each other. Now, apparently, we have a giveaway going on with the retain on today. Okay, and here's what I want you to do. Here's what I want you to know. When it comes to retain, because I'm pushing buttons and looking down today, so y'all forgive me. When it comes to this retain here, this product is beautiful. It lubricates, it cleans, it rusts, it stops rust, it doesn't rust, and it sanitizes. And this product you can get, the ticker tape is showing you here, retainsspray.com. You can also get them on amazon.com and walmart.com. Now, here's the thing about this giveaway. You, person watching this right now, as we're live right now on Tuesday, November, is this the 24th, the 25th, the 24th?
Sure.
Yes, I don't remember, but
25th, 25th, 25th.
25th. Actually, I'm looking right at my computer. You think I would look down, but on the 25th, DM them. They're giving away 3 of their sprays, and you need this whether you're growing hydroponically or not. Check out Retain Spray today.
Guys, there's only like 23 people on here right now, so 3 is a pretty good percentage, and I think 3 of those people on here might be us. All right. And not all 20 people on here are going to go ahead and DM. So if I was you, I'd go ahead and DM, get yourself some free stuff. It's great stuff. I don't have my bottle here because I have it outside in the garden where I use it, and I have another bottle in Mexico where I use it. But it's great for disinfecting your tools, and it's all natural, so I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But going back to the ebbs and flow versus the only scenario I think that ebb and flow or variable flow is the same thing would be beneficial if we're talking about very hungry plants, deep feeders, like for instance your tomatoes. Your tomatoes are probably going to do really well. Cucumbers are another one I think would do really well in that type of system because they need that constant
Peppers,
source
yeah.
of nutrients. So I think that may be a situation where your ebbs and flow may actually be more beneficial for them.
Right.
But with all of these types of systems, we've talked about some pros and cons about it. Like for instance, with the deep water and all the tanglement of the root. Well, going back to what Derek was saying before about that amount of salt buildup, because you're constantly having that flow of nutrients, you can have a higher concentration of salt accumulate in that water. And so
Mm,
while ebbs and flow may be more proficient for some of your heavy feeders, just realize you are going to have to maintain that system a lot. It's not really a set it and forget it, as for instance, like our deep water might be. And this is stuff for someone who's going to be on an intermediate to almost advanced level of gardening because you're constantly bathing it and managing it.
Right. And you do have to measure, because I'll tell you what, I've had experiences where I have been lazy and haven't measured my pH and things like that. And then I measure the pH and it's way out of the range for growing the thing that I'm growing. Like I might be growing lettuce and the lettuce is growing, but it's not growing very much. And then I check the pH and it's out of the range where I want it to be. Like it's not like around 6 or 6.5, whatever. And maybe it's like 8 or something like that. And all I do is lower the pH, and all of a sudden you'd be amazed how much of a difference that makes. Those plants just take off. Like just a simple thing like pH can change how efficient you are or how successful you are with your hydroponics. We have another
okay.
question here from Sean. He said, "How often do you guys water container plants in the winter, or should I say Florida winters?" I don't really change how much I water container plants because I water them based on whether they're dry or not. I don't water them based on like a schedule, anyways. But what do you guys do?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned that because yeah, it is going to matter depending on where you are. So being in Central Florida is going to be a lot warmer. Plus, you have a lot of humidity in the air too. So that's going to be completely different from me over here in Dallas, Texas, zone 8B. Now, I actually do kind of back off of my watering. So I don't necessarily follow a schedule. I mean, I say that I have a schedule, but really I just go in, stick that finger down in there. Does it feel dry? Okay, let's give her a little taste. You know what I mean? Oh, that could have sounded very suggestive there now that I thought about it in hindsight. But anyway, I make sure to
Hmm.
give my plants some water when they are dry. But I have noticed during the cooler months, or once I brought things inside, I do kind of taper off and back up off of my water a little bit. Like Snoop say, back up off it and put my cup down.
Mm. You better be
Now,
backing up off it.
now, MS Rita, I know we're talking about hydroponics, but she has a question. What's your formula for gardening soil? Do you guys have a formula? Because I'm doing a new thing with that mineral soil, but what's your typical
Yes.
soil formula, guys?
Oh,
Do you
Whatever
Derek, you
have?
I can
first, man,
get.
because you like the soil guy over there. Come on, man.
I mean, whatever I get my hands on, to be honest. I have soil that I recycle because I do recycle soil, um, which is just old gardening soil, old potted plants that had something that died, right? That plant died, that plant went on to the upper room, and there wasn't because of a disease, it wasn't because of a pest. So I just take that soil, add some compost, some mushroom compost, or whatever have you. But I think it just depends on where you are in the world and who you are as a gardener. So, like, for example, okay, you see these other two, okay, we know they both, between the two of them, have like the size of Texas. Gray owns half of Texas. Like, let's just put that out there. His land is half of Texas, and that panhandle, like the peninsula of Florida, all Andre territory. They got his picture up on all the stoplights. I seen it. I seen it when I was out there in Florida. I was like, Lord, that's where I knew him from. He's famous. But that we all, as different gardeners, live in different parts of the world. So we have different things that we experience, right? Which is not even to say different crops. So if you're a person that loves to water, you may want a soil that drains a little more, right? If you're a person that doesn't love the water, you need something that can hold on to that water. And if you're in an area that's drier, you have to consider that. So it's kind of hard for me to give an exact recipe because I just kind of go off a feeling when I'm making soil, but it just literally is me thinking about myself, who is an overwaterer. I love to water, and then I typically try to grow plants that can take it. I hope that answers your question.
You know what I
Yeah.
just realized?
What's that?
I can't go get soil. I can't go get bulk soil because I have a new truck. I can't fill the back of it with soil yet. You know, like there's a certain honeymoon period where you cannot fill your truck with soil
What?
like 2, 3 days into it. Like you got to give it a couple of months first, right?
No, no. Man, when I got the Star Destroyer, I was like Anthony Hamilton. I was like, fill my truck with all our stuff, kicking up some gravel. I was ready to go, man. Like,
Not
yeah.
ready to go. I love it.
Yeah, not ready to go. I was ready to go. Like, no. What? That's the break-in period. There's no honeymoon. There's a break-in period. Like, come on, girl, we about to do some things.
Yes,
Okay.
get that soil.
Cento by said something. There's horse poop all over the road by me
That's a
because
good
of the
sensor.
Amish. You guys interested? It's free. Um, Personally, no. Um, I used to hunt at this place, the hunt club that was a cow pasture, and I
Hmm.
could have got garbage bags full of cow manure every single day. I just couldn't bring myself to go out in the field and pick up cow patties. I just couldn't do it.
Now, if I was close to the people, I would, because that if it's, and I think from cows and ruminants and gray, my favorite master gardener is gray. He would be able to correct me. I feel like you don't have to like do any treatment to those, right? You can just use them straight up.
Yeah.
No,
That's what
no,
I,
no, no.
no,
You got to
no,
cure
am I
them.
wrong? You got to cure them. You do. That's all
Yeah,
right.
you do. You do. Yeah, you got to
You
There
cure
we
do
go.
have to cure
This is
them.
why I talk to
Yeah.
the smart people. This is again, I talk to
them.
people who are way smarter than me. But I
Hmm.
would get it because it would be another a free input into my plants, and especially just microbially, I want to get as much microbial diversity to benefit my plants. But I'm not really that close to you. I'm in an apartment, so I can't do things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
If
I
I
prefer using like chicken and rabbit because those are going to be those manures where you don't have a hot
Okay.
manure that you have to cure and everything. I prefer using those, you know?
if I would go back now, I probably would collect some because I could have had a mountain of cow manure just curing in my backyard, for whenever I needed it to just, you know. But
You,
I
you, you could have been the king of crap, right?
I could have been the king. I could have been the poopy king, the poopy king. But I turned that down. Let me see.
It's a good question though.
Jen says she never laughs so hard when you start talking about how much land we have.
It's the truth. I don't know what we're laughing about. They have so much property. The Queen of England, back in the day, the King of England willed these two land in their family. That's just history, America.
Yeah.
But you know
Um,
what? Side note, while we were talking about the free horse manure, if anybody knows a free horse, I'm looking for a horse. I just got this. I want a horse. I'm in Texas. I can't be in Texas this long and not have my
all right,
not have
Derek,
my
does
own
that
horse.
not confirm that he's the man with the land? Like my horse would be so cramped up if I got a horse. It would be just the horse would be so miserable. But on Gray's land, the horse could just roam free every day. You wouldn't even have to like have a pen or anything. Just let it just roam.
Hey, I mean, it's only an acre, but yeah, I would just look, man. That horse would get such a workout with me. I would be riding that horse everywhere. Like, hey, I'm going to Walmart. I'm taking the
So
horse.
are you
Me,
like a good horseback rider? Like a good jockey? Like I don't know what
I
you call
mean,
it, jockey.
I've ridden before, but I'm not like a professional or anything. But I mean, I'm just good with animals. Animals, me and animals are like here, like I see an animal and like we talk it out and we walk it out. You know what I mean?
So
So
right now you just get on a horse and you'd be fine. You'd be able to handle it and could
That's
control it and
amazing.
everything.
for the most part, yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
I've
and
ridden a horse
just
a couple times, but it's been so long. I would probably need a refresher course or something.
I've
yeah.
never ridden a horse.
Well, it's interesting. I was watching this documentary, and there's actually a horse ranch, and this rancher. I actually just started following him over in Lancaster, Texas, which is not that far away from me. I'm
Hmm.
going to hook up with him and see if I can take the family to go over and start seeing some of his racing horses, and maybe get the kids invested in riding because I mean that connection with horsing, with riding horses, and loving the animal, and then plus the cowboy culture. I want to get my kids more into that lifestyle as well. Not just the planting side, but the animal husbandry side too. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you
Hmm.
what. One of the things that I know a lot of people that have horses use is Sonia's bug spray because it's all natural and it works on horses as well. So I know a lot of people use them for their horses because they're all natural. You can use it on pets. Um, it smells like it's made with lemongrass, made with all kinds of cool stuff, and it smells like lotion. You put this on and you feel like you just put cologne or body something on. It's absolutely amazing. It doesn't feel like bug spray at all. I hate calling it a bug spray, but it's Sonia's bug spray. You get it at soniasbugspray.com. But it feels like lotion and it keeps the mosquitoes, flies. It also works as an after bite as well. Great stuff. You can also get it on the TikTok shop. But soniasbugspray.com. Like, why can't get this in the picture? Here it is. All right, there we go. All right.
You were the big person on stage. That's why. When we do the
Okay.
ads, I put a person up there so that way they see you fully and they can see the thing. So that is dope. Now, one thing that these people said, Enterprise said about when we're talking about, I guess, animal manure, is remember whatever the worm or vaccines the animals have been given will be in your plants. And I think when we think about medications that are going through the body, while there may be some remnants in that manure, and this is now a thought experiment, right? While there may be some remnants in the manure, the amount that would then be absorbed by your plants would be negligible. Because if any at all, and we have to think that before whatever is in that cow patty, chicken manure, whatever gets to your plants, it is also then digested by microbes in the soil, worms, random animals, insects, right? That are
Yeah.
also pooping it out. So there's layers to the food web before it gets back to your plant. So I'd love to see that, and we should think about what we're doing so we're not mixing our plants, but I don't think that would be an issue.
Yeah, enterprise, you're worrying about the wrong things, okay? Because even medications that you directly take in your body, a week later, they're gone. They're not in your body anymore. And they're definitely not in your poop anymore either, right? So there's no
True.
reason to believe that the steroid or the antibiotic that a cow got 6 months ago is going to be in its poop down the road. So, and even if it was in its poop, it would be broken down. It would probably wouldn't even be the same chemical anymore. It'd be broken down into something else. And then, once that cures, and the microbes break that down, like Derek said, now it's going to a plant and it's going through a whole plant physiology where it's broken down again. Then it's going into a fruit at some point, or may go into a crop that you're going to cook. Like, I just think that you're worried about the wrong thing. And one of the known carcinogen, one of the most toxic things that you can put in your body is alcohol. And the same person that's worried about this trace of medication that came down this whole cycle will literally sit down at dinner and drink the poison directly. Um,
Mm,
so you're worried about the wrong things, you know.
I don't think Enterprise is specifically worrying about it, but it's a very good question, But because sometimes I think that sometimes we don't think about how strong the hydrochloric acid, correct me if I'm wrong,
yeah.
that's inside the lining of the stomach. I mean, this is
Yes.
a super corrosive acid we're talking about. So it's breaking down all kind of plant and meat and all those different things. I mean, bone. I mean, I don't know if you ever saw the movie. What was it called? Uh, Cloverfield Lane, where the guy had to jump. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Okay.
Check that one out. But he had a vat of hydrochloric acid, the same type of acid that's in our specific stomach system, but it will break down like meat and such. So,
Yep.
and bone and such. So, with that being said, now I can't speak of every animal having that same type of system, but I mean, a digestive system is made to break things down. So, yeah, it's okay. I mean, but with that same type of logic, it's like the question I've received before about planting your food in plastic as opposed to soil or or clay or something like that. I mean, well, if you bought your plants from a big box store, it's in a plastic container. That plastic is not leaching into your soil and then leaching into your roots of your plant. You're not eating a plastic tomato. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things like you're
Yeah.
you're okay.
Yeah.
You're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
That's
mean,
so just worrying too hard.
and microplastics, when you look into, there was a video I watched on microplastics that terrified me so much that I tried to put it out of my head. So there's, if you want to go, I think it's an infographic between that and forever chemicals. Like there's bigger fish we have to fry, but the world has been screwed for the last like 60 years. So plants, hydroponics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Now, um, oh man, I forgot the other thing. I want to talk about the fertilizer, but there was something
Hmm.
that I had. Did I write it down?
I hope you did, because we was talking about
Oh,
fertilizer
the
uses. Uh-huh.
nutrients. The
Yes.
nutrients of hydroponically grown plants versus in-ground plants. What do you guys think?
All right, now let me jump in here for a second because I actually had this as a comment once on
Mm.
one of my videos.
Hmm.
And it was one of my, because guys, we'll make content rain or shine, and my back had went out. Well, to give you a little bit of context, I am a mechanic. I work on cars. In my 20s, I was lifting up on engines like I was freaking Hercules, and now as a result, I have a bad back that sometimes occasionally goes out on me. So sometimes in my videos, you might see me walking with a cane. That's because I'm gonna get out in that garden regardless. Well, this was specifically a video I was talking about hydroponics, and someone commented on me and they said, "Oh, the reason why your backs keep going out is because you have kidney problems because of all the hydroponic food that you're eating. You need to change your diet and so forth." I'm like, and a lot of times when I get like very controversial or negative comments like that, I just won't respond to them because one, I'm not trying to perpetuate that cycle and go back and forth. I don't like arguing.
You're better
I'm
than
like,
me. You're better than
yeah.
me.
And you're way better than me.
It's just, I mean, it's not worth my time. You know what I mean? Like, because I told you guys before, I used to be a very violent, very volatile person, and I'm not trying to get people to hit me with that rope a dope and get me back down that rabbit hole. But I was sitting there thinking, while I'm reading this comment, I'm like, first of all, you don't know what my nutrition is. And I'm not only eating hydroponically grown vegetables, I'm also eating store-bought vegetables and then vegetables also grown in soil. So for you to or not psychoanalyze, but analyze my nutrition level based off a video you've seen me in once is kind of crazy and absurd. So with that being said, is there a difference between hydroponically grown carrots as opposed to soil grown carrots nutritionally? I don't know. I'm not a nutritionalist. I know they both taste great. They both taste the same. That's my thought.
Now, I would say
So
there's
go
two
go ahead.
questions there. One, is there a difference? And two, does it matter if there's a difference?
There you go. Derek, thoughts?
So I found an article because we love science around these parts. And the article is called, go all the way up to the top here. Now, granted, this is on PubMed, so it doesn't mean like it's real, but it came from Hortic. Controlled comparison between soil and hydroponic systems reveal increased water use efficiency and higher lycopene and beta carotene contents in hydroponically grown tomatoes. So while there is some nutritional difference, and I'm trying to get a summation here of this, but while there is some nutritional difference potentially, like minimally, and I'm trying to say like the actual like difference if it was something like truly impactful or not. But it's hard to read and then look up here at
Right.
the camera and then look back
Well,
here at
well,
the
let's
camera.
pretend, let's
But
pretend that it's on
I
the
don't think
high
it's that big.
side, 20% difference. Let's imagine that it was 20% difference. And when you eat a piece of lettuce, you're getting 80% of the nutrients that you would get from a one that was grown in the ground. Eat 20% more. Like, 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 like really? Like we're not down to the point where we are like almost dying from lack of nutrients, right? Like eat a varied diet, and because some varieties of lettuce are naturally just going to have 20% less nutrients than another variety of lettuce, right? Like you could be eating the wrong lettuce to begin with anyways. Like I just feel like people worry about the wrong things.
Exactly. I got a summation here thanks to my
All right.
cousin Chad. So it was 10 to 30% higher and 5 to 20% higher. So on that note, it's not like 70. If it was over 50, like all bets are off, go for it. But it's not. So and when we think about how we grow plants, even the nutritional difference, even between like hydroponically grown systems, just depends on what you're doing, right? The variety you're using, your water content, your water quality, if your air is filtered, like how, expansive or chintzy you're deciding to go. So there's not really a difference. And I know people like to think conspiracy, and I love a good conspiracy, but it's not real.
Yeah, we're splitting hairs at this point, you know?
Right.
You're growing something. So
You're
just
growing
enjoy the
food
moment.
that's absolutely delicious. And you know what else is delicious? The sweet and spicy. This
Ooh,
is my sweet and spicy pepper sauce. I created this. There's a hot and there's a not so hot. Right now, we've got 2 days left of the sale. It's buy two, get two free. It comes in hot, wait, hot and not so hot. It's all natural, made with 8 different fruits and vegetables. Absolutely delicious. You can get it at andrethefarmer.com. And right now, buy two, get two free until Thanksgiving. And you can buy it on Amazon as well, but you don't get the buy two, get two free there. Why am I on the wrong side here?
no, you're
There we
good now. I put it in. And remember that website is at the bottom, y'all, or at the top of your Instagram, the bottom of your YouTube. So you can see the links now. You don't have to be like, hey guys, how y'all spell that? You can see it. You can see it. Now, speaking of your pepper sauce, Enterprise or somebody actually asked, do they need a greenhouse to grow somebody's collards because they live? This is Rebecca Skoll.
Okay.
Rebecca S. Cole. Do they need a greenhouse to grow collards? They live in Chicagoland, Midwest. They get mad every time they go to the store to buy some collards. What y'all be thinking?
I think if you start college early enough, like I feel like they have a long enough summer where they could grow college. What do you think, Greg?
Yeah, because where you're at in Chicago, the your growing zone, well, let's all right, I'm gonna just say this, and sorry if I'm offending you, but this is just truth in it. Chicago is another beast. Chicago, I mean, the wind out there, like real. I visited Chicago, and they call it the Windy City, and it is truly windy. Their wind is on a whole nother level, and that wind chill grabs you and just takes you and holds you by your bones. So yeah, I would say I would agree with Andre. Start early because yeah, it can get very frigid out there. Having that water, that wind coming off of what is it, Lake Erie, if I'm not mistaken, from Illinois, and
Mm,
that's really what kind of sets the tone for Chicago. I would definitely, I wouldn't say go greenhouse, but I mean, you could, um, but just be careful because there are a lot of different greenhouses out there. I'm actually in the process of filming some videos for a greenhouse, so I am a little bit biased. But I will say there are a lot of different greenhouse companies out there. Get something that works for your budget and that your county will allow you to establish too. Because sometimes you might need permits or something like that. But I say, as long as you start early enough, like Andre said, you should be perfectly fine. But
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe
Chicago
start those
cold.
inside, and and have a plant to transplant once it gets warm enough, once you're past your frost date,
Yeah.
and go from there. But
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely. I'm all about, look, hey, I am all about germinating some seeds. That's like one of my favorite things to do. That's the whole reason why I want to talk about hydroponics today. I'm germinating some things in my hydroponic chambers. I got some spinach and some broccoli going. So yeah, definitely start some seeds inside well before your first frost date and try to get a leg up on them so they can establish themselves and transplant.
all right, and Enterprise said we should think about where our materials come from, being intentional with our sources. Salmonella, chemical warfare, organic farming takes care. All right, that's a lot. There's a lot to unpack there. I mean, I'm not going to unpack it. Um, my avocado seedling plant is dying. I live in Washington State, and my plant lives inside. What can I do to keep a plant alive during winter? Well, I would say consistency. And if the plant's constantly being moved, that's going to shock the plant. And that could be part of the problem. I know you probably want to keep that outside when it's nice and warm outside. But that transition is probably going to be something that will always keep shocking the plant.
Yeah, and probably trying to, because more than likely in Washington State, you probably have brought your avocado inside at this point. Make sure it's getting enough light because Washington State, ironically enough, a lot of people don't realize this about Washington State. They're the same zone as Derek and I. They're 8Bs. Because zone,
Hmm.
Derek, you're 8B, right?
Yeah, I know I'm an eight, state something.
Yeah. So Washington State, most of Washington State is actually an 8B as well because it gets that warm air that comes off of the Pacific Northwest. Um, which, it's funny, you think so far north, like, oh, it would be cold there all the time. No, they get winters, they get snow, but most of the zone is still at 8B. But with that being said, with winter slowly approaching and creeping up on you, I would make sure that you're getting enough light. And if you're, how are you growing this avocado seed? Because we talked about hydroponics, we talked about soil. How are you growing it? What's that soil look like?
Yeah, and because when you're growing things inside with lights, you need way more light than a typical daylight, right? So you might want to give it 15, 18 hours of light a day. And if you just have it by a window, you know, it's probably, especially, Washington State's it's kind of gloomy over there, isn't it, in general? Like, I would imagine you're probably not getting enough light for that plant to really thrive.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be because I mean with the mountains and the cloud cover that you get out there because of that mixture. I'm just going all science right now with all the geography. Like I didn't realize I knew this much about geography. Sorry, this kind of shocked me, but I'm like, yeah, as you get those, I could be a meteorologist. So as you get those warmer layers mixing
All
with the
right,
colder air from the
Gray's gonna
mountains.
be a meteorologist because he knows mountains and overcast.
Yes, let him
Oh,
live his dream. Get him in front of a green screen
He's gonna
right
apply for
now.
the job and he's gonna put on the resume, I know mountains.
yeah,
I know mountains and clouds. Give me the
And
job and he's gonna get
clouds.
it.
Clouds and mountains.
I
I'll be
love it.
back.
Nice. You're
I love
hired.
that.
Last guy didn't know clouds. Uh, anyway, hold on, we got one more question here. Damn. Enterprise says Andre the farmer does not have any hairs to split. I kind of like that one. It's, that's pretty accurate. So now Jordan says, I'm just starting hydroponic plants. What do you recommend for starters? And we talked about that earlier, right?
Mhm. I would say,
Mhm.
my opinion is just one of those deep flow systems. Or Andre, have you ever showed a video of your tank system?
Yeah, yeah. I showed a video how to make it. I have a video on YouTube, on Instagram, and TikTok. If you search Andre the Farmer Hydroponics, I show you step by step how to make it. It's just a black storage bin with the yellow lid and some aerators. And it's not complicated at all. It's pretty easy to make.
Yeah,
'Cause
see,
I'm a
and there
simple
you
guy.
go.
I'm a
And
simple guy. I don't like complicated stuff. So
yeah. Yeah, because I mean, it can start getting very pricey when you start looking at those different systems. And so if you can go with Andre's system, and I've used that same system before, I just never recorded a video.
mhm,
My old system has now been converted to a worm farm. I have some red wigglers in it.
cool.
Mm.
Uh, so I'm farming some worms right now. So check out Andre's video where he takes you to that step, and we can both confirm that it is a great system and it doesn't cost you much at all.
And then with that concept, you could even make the same thing with a 5 gallon bucket. You have a lid on a 5 gallon bucket, you could basically do it. If you watch the video, you could basically do the same thing with a 5 gallon bucket. But guys, we are at the end of our time. We are over time by 30 seconds. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be here every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on Instagram and YouTube. Any closing words, guys?
Yeah, let us know what do you want us to talk about next week. We love getting your feedback. Let us know in the comments, like, hey, can you cover this? And maybe we might just feature your question on the live with us.
Yeah, or DM us. You know, we're easy to reach. We're easy to reach. Derek,
Nothing.
nothing. All right. See you next week, guys. Bye.